the course of this conversation, but let me pick your thoughts, Apostle, very quickly on what kind of addictions. You run a center in Accra at Achimota.
Yeah.
What are the most popular kinds that come to you seeking for help?
Mostly it's alcohol and hard drugs. So you have, just as you mentioned earlier on, that we have different kinds of addiction. But the one that is quite dangerous and destroys lives and people die is alcohol. And if I should rate, I would think alcohol is the highest now because it's commonly found everywhere. And drugs, you find the drugs in the slums, in the ghetto where people give up on themselves and, abuse them, the substance. And now we have tramadol, we have, marijuana, which my brother is going to talk about, and all of that. So the addiction is really becoming a big issue in Ghana. And since I came back, I realized that the future of Ghana is not looking clear, because when you look at the streets, you see all these young kids begging for alms, and they are going to end up to be addicts and prostitutes. So we have to do something. Ghana has to wake up and do something, because I traveled around the world to study how others are handling their rehabilitation centers and stuff like that. We volunteered. My wife went into public health so that we can acquire knowledge and to bring it back to Ghana and to help our people. But by returning, I was shocked to see what is happening on the streets and how the ghettos are overpopulated, and it's like there's nothing happening.
Right. Let me engage Maoli for a second. What were you addicted to? I'm so grateful that you even accepted to be on the panel and to speak openly as yourself, because I know that it comes with a lot of guilt and shame that you had to overcome to get to this point. So I don't take your presence at this table for granted. How did it all begin for you? What was your addiction, and what did you have to go through?
Okay, I would say I was addicted to 3 types of drugs.
Okay. I
was addicted to marijuana, I was addicted to heroin and cocaine as well.
How did that happen?
Okay, it all started way back in school.
Was this secondary school?
No, I will not say secondary school. I will say the GSS.
GSS?
Yes.
Around that time, you must be early teens, right?
Yes.
How would you even get heroin?
Okay, it started with marijuana.
Okay.
A friend of mine who was in the same class with I one day took me to a place where they had some wrapped substances on paper, gave it to me and said to me that if I smoke it, it will make my thinking ability very high and something. So I also smoked it, and I was hooked on it.
And that was how it all started.
Yes.
And how did the transition happen from marijuana to heroin and then cocaine?
Actually, when I entered into secondary school, I think my second year, after vacation, I went to my mom at Kenya, where she was working with Newmont. So one day I went out and I met a friend who was also a deportee from Singapore. He took me to his hotel where he was lodging, and he also brought out some substance, and he also told me that this one was even harder than the marijuana, and it would make me very great and something like that. So I took it, and lo and behold, I was hooked on it as well.
And that turned out to be what?
The cocaine.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's for sniffing?
Yeah, no, for smoking.
Cocaine can also be... I'm going to display a lot of ignorance, and I'm very curious to get into your mind to see how it all comes together. Yeah. You're smoking weed, and then someone introduces you to cocaine that you also smoked. And what was the difference between the two?
Okay, the weed made me drowsy and like a cool person, but the cocaine made me hard. It makes me very wild, and it makes me feel as if I'm on top of the world, and that made me very happy. Yeah.
On top of the world and happy.
Yeah.
But it was a short-lived happiness, right?
Yes.
And then heroin happened.
Yes. So as time went on, I started doing the cocaine and the marijuana. And I met another friend who also told me that. Yeah. And another friend also told me that the cocaine, because of the nature of it, it will be damaging my brain. So I have to do the heroin as well, so that it will come.
In addition.
Yes.
So that it will balance the weed and the cocaine.
Yes.
Wow.
So I started doing the heroin as well, and I found out that the heroin, the sensation was also good. So I became hooked on it as well.
The triple threat.
Yes.
Weed, cocaine, and heroin.
Yeah.
Okay. Rest that on it. John.
Yes.
Share your experience with me. What was your poison?
Basically marijuana. I didn't really go into cocaine or heroin, but he said it's all peer pressure. So I also got introduced to smoking through friends. But I first started smoking when I was in secondary school, and this was cigarettes. So my seniors were smoking, and then they passed me a stick, and so I tried cigarettes for the first time in secondary school.
You call it nickel in your book?
Nickel, yes.
Nickel, yeah.
But after secondary school, when I got admission to university, that's when I got introduced to marijuana. So in my hostel, a lot of guys were already smoking marijuana, and they'll tell you marijuana is better than cigarettes because marijuana is natural, it's a herb, organic, so it's far better than cigarettes, which are, nicotine, which has nicotine in them. So I was curious, I was young, I was curious, I wanted to find out for myself. So I tried marijuana and I loved it. The very first time I took it, I was in love with it. So
what was there to love? How did it make you feel?
One of the things I remember made me feel was it gave me appetite to eat, because I didn't used to eat a lot. So after smoking, I had the appetite to eat more, and I also had a false sense of confidence. So I was
false sense of confidence.
Yes.
And you mentioned eating in your book, and you talked about how you used to eat a lot of even junk food.
Yeah,
because
eventually
when you're hungry,
you just have to find something to eat immediately, and marijuana actually makes you hungry a lot, so you settle for anything your hands can get.
Right. Apostle,
Yes.
listening to their stories, is it a reflection of what the other people who come to you narrate?
Yes.
Is it the same experiences,
Yes.
peer
It's
pressure?
almost
on
peer
top of the
pressure.
world?
Yes. You feel like you are not up to what you expected, so you want to just, let me say, jump, and you don't want to be left out. So the peer pressure is the main thing, and it starts as early as even at the age of 12. Where people are bullying you in school, and parents has no attention. They don't have time to check you up and to even know your well-being. You will be seeking for attention outside.
I mean, Maule is talking about something that he started in JHS, so
Yeah.
JSS maybe at the time, and you would wonder how 12, 13-year-olds would get stuff like weed. I don't even know how old I was when I first saw weed with my eyes, but certainly not in junior high school. Would you say, Maule, that it affected your, obviously it did, but in what ways did this, is it a character is it a trick that you picked up? How did it affect your life, and when did you realize there was a problem that you needed help with?
Actually, it has really affected my life in a different kinds of way, because one, it has affected my education, and it has also affected my relationship with my family, friends, and loved ones, because at a point, you have to support your addiction with some kind of lifestyles, like stealing and doing all kinds of things, because like the cocaine and the heroin, they are very expensive things. You cannot just afford.
How much are we talking about?
Yeah, for now I may say it ranges between 10 to 20 cedis.
For what quantity of maybe cocaine or heroin?
Just a little quantity, just let me say half of a teaspoon.
That's
the
20
heroin.
cedis.
Yes.
And how many of those would, at the peak of your abuse, how many of those half teaspoons would you use in a day?
To me, to the peak of my abuse, like 5 of them at a time, maybe in the morning.
At a time?
Yes, maybe in the morning.
And how many times would you do them in a day?
maybe 3 times, as more as I can get.
So
the
20 by 5 is 100, and my math is bad, so by 3 times a day. So that's 300 cedis a day at the very least. So when did you know that this is a problem and I need to get help?
Yes, got to a time that, you know, the people I was stealing from, I was doing all these kind of things to, they also realized that I was really hurting them, so they also took their decisions. And now, whenever I go to them, I could not get from them anymore. So I sat down and realized that I was destroying my life. And I also seen people in the ghetto dying and all kind of sicknesses and things. So I decided, no, I'm going back. And sometimes when I see friends, my classmates and things in town, I become so sad that I feel like, you know, stopping this thing. That's why I took the step to Chosen Rehab.
So it was because you hurt your family and you saw that others were moving on in life without you, and you felt you needed to get back on track. Did it ever become suicidal for you? To think that, you know what, I brought shame to myself, my family, I just want to end it.
Yeah, sometimes I do think like that.
Not anymore, I hope.
No, not now.
I'm grateful for that. John, can you relate to what he's saying about having to adopt habits and certain characters just to feed the addiction, and also to keep it away as a secret from the people who would care more about you?
Well, yes, I certainly understand it, and I kept it a secret from my parents for a very long time. So throughout my days in the university, I was smoking for almost about 3 years before they even found out about it. So there is that, and also you sort of do things that you're not supposed to do just to get access to marijuana. So definitely the kind of friends you keep, you know, you are with friends who can easily, you know, afford it or something like that, so that at least when you don't have money, you can depend on them to buy it, and then you smoke from them. So it changes who you are, your character, and certain attitudes you have. It distances you from your family. So myself, I was distanced from my siblings, my parents. I was just out of touch.
Surely weed, I presume, would be cheaper than cocaine and heroin.
Well, it depends. There's several strains of weed. So yes. So definitely. So
there's Mary Jane and Mary Paul.
Marijuana, there's Mary Jane, but we have like Amnesia, we have Blue Haze, we have Afghan Kush.
It's all weed.
It's all weed, but it's different strains. So depending on the kind of strain you're smoking, then the price, you determine the price by that. So when we started smoking, we were just smoking the 1 CD stuff you find around, but eventually I started smoking marijuana that costed like 100 CDs, 200 CDs, just for a small container.
For one roll?
Well, the container, you can get like 3 rolls from the container. So if you buy the container for 200 CDs and you are getting 3 rolls, then that's almost about 80 CDs for
and
a
how
roll.
many would you need a day at the peak of your addiction?
At the peak of my addiction, I was smoking close to 10 rolls a day.
And how were you financing the habit?
I don't want to say by God's grace, but
you were financing the habit of smoking weed by God.
Definitely not by God's grace.
Are you
but
into
I was
the Solomon and his weed philosophy?
Solomon? No, I mean definitely. I come from a quite privileged background, and I was actually working after school. I was working, so I was earning something, and the industry in which I was working as well, you know, provided me the platform to be able to have access to these easily. Yes.
Apostle. So we have 2 guys here who are telling us their stories. I'm sure the numbers will not be the same for women. So female addicts will probably have like a less horrific stories to tell. Maybe do they?
Yeah, they do. And I mean, some of them are into prostitution. They need the drugs to.
But that doesn't sound like they have a better story. It sounds like they have it worse, because now you are on drugs and you are into prostitution to
support, what you have to go through, to be able to endure, the kind of lifestyle that they are living. So it becomes very bad. And then when it comes to the female, sometimes they get pregnant and then they don't have the ability to abort their babies, and the babies to become addicted to drugs through the breastfeeding. So we have the female and children's facility at Dakuma, and this is what we deal with. Babies on drugs. And it's horrific, because when the baby tastes the breast milk and there is no drugs in it, she rejects the breast milk until the mother goes and smoke, because now she or the child also is dependent of the drugs. So the mother will tell you, Apostle, just allow me to go, and then this baby will be calm. But we don't. So it's a huge.
How many of such cases would you say you have right now at your center?
10.
10 female addicts.
Yes, 10 female addicts. Yeah,
and they all have babies.
Not all of them. Not all of them have babies. Yeah, we have like 3 that have babies, and by God's grace, the babies are well, and the mothers are also.
I've heard stories that when you're trying to rehabilitate addicts who are very far ahead in their addiction, so they've done it for years, you have to wean them off gradually. So if Mauli was saying that he had to get 5 at a go, you bring it to 4. Then you bring it to 3.
Not a chosen. You come in and that's it. And
so it's cold Tackie cut.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, cold Tackie, and then we help you with painkillers. And cook soup, and we have some concoctions that we make that helps them to have the energy, and a lot of praises and worship, really, and the power of the Lord really works.
So you think that there's a part of this whole thing that is spiritual?
Yes, it is.
Addiction is spiritual.
Yeah, but then I thought
John mentioned a sin somewhere in the book. You believe that smoking is a sin. I'll come to that. But you're making the point he's making.
Yes, I agree with John that smoking is bad and it's a sin, and you will feel it the moment you do it. You will feel it.
And prayers help.
Prayers do help,
but it's not the only solution.
It's not the only solution, but finally, you will need God's help to strengthen you to be able to.
What about those who don't believe in this whole God business?
I've gone around the world and I've seen that everything that I've read, it ends up with God. They might not call it God, but they might call it the higher power. So they will have to believe in the higher power to be able to come over. And what Chosen Rehab does, we go to the ghettos with food, with clothes, because we know they don't have it. So when we get there with the praises and worship, it draws them. And they all share.
Okay, let me come to you, John.
Okay.
This is a tough one. What was the experience like for you? Weaning yourself off the
habit. Yes, so definitely when I was smoking in university, it got to a point where I realized it was affecting me academically and financially, everything. But I tried quitting because there was a semester I failed 4 courses instantly, F, and I realized that wasn't me, because
free flight from Florida to France. I'm
brilliant, so getting 4 Fs in one semester was a red flag. So I tried quitting. And one of the things I did was I tried to change my hostel, because I thought if I had moved from that hostel where my friends were, I could have, managed habits. But I went to a new hostel, and guess what? There were guys there who were also smoking. So I found myself back into it. But then, after I graduated a couple of years later, and I still realized it was affecting me, it wasn't allowing me to become the best version of myself and to achieve my goals and my dreams. And so that's when I actually made the bold step to quit. And definitely I always attribute it to the grace of God, because it was through a sermon by Dr. Mensa Otabil that I began to, actually look at my life and try to make the positive changes.
Where did you go for help?
I didn't go anywhere for help. So I was just in my room watching music videos on TV, and then the sermon popped up by Dr. Mensa Otabil, stepping out from your prison.
And you decided, I'm not going to do this again?
Well, not immediately, but I listened to him over and over again for a couple of months. And then I decided I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to turn a new leaf. Yes, and since then.
How long have you been clean?
3 years. Wow. I think today or yesterday is actually 3 years on the dot.
Wow.
Today's 2nd September.
Yes.
Okay, 1 month more.
I don't know you, but I'm so proud of you. Mauli, tell me what it was like for you going through the treatment to stop your addictions, your triple threat of addictions.
Yeah, I may say it was not easy, because at a point in time I felt like I was going to die or something. But for the help of the apostle and the staff of Chosen Rehab. They kept on encouraging me and praying for me, giving me medicines and all kinds of things, and I was able to make it through.
Right. I'm proud of you as well, and thank you for sharing your story. Maybe I'll be, if there's time, I may pick final thoughts. What does it mean for families who have loved ones who are going through addictions, and how can families support such persons? Even society.
All right. We always encourage people to support Chosen Rehab for the work we are doing. Families, when you have a child that is battling with drugs or alcohol, is worse than a nightmare. You know, you have parents coming to the center crying and throwing themselves on the floor. It's not easy, and we pray that nobody's child or no one will have their children go through this. But we need Chosen Rehab need all the support.
How can people support you?
You can support us by Momo. You can send your donations to 0555 466 374. I can repeat that again, 0555 466 375, and God will richly bless you.
Are your services free, or do you charge?
We ask parents to support. We don't charge. When the parents come in with their son, we ask them, we encourage them, can you give a donation? So that's how we do it.
Right. Your final words. What are you doing now, Maoli? What are you engaged in? Do you have a job? What do you do?
Okay, as at now, I'm not into any job. I'm into the job of Christ. I'm also into winning more souls for Jesus Christ, and also trying to change my brothers who are still in the ghettos.
What do you want to tell them if they are watching you now?
Yeah, I want to tell them that there's still hope for life, that they can come out of the drugs, because just as they know me, that I've been able to come out of this thing, they can also come out of it.
John.
Yes.
So you've written a book sharing your experiences with the rest of the world, and it's like a love story. I'm reading it, and there's you and I, and you is the love of your life. You refer to Mary Jane as your love, and you remember there's a portion of it I just have this part says, to an extent, no one makes me laugh as hard as you do. No one knows how to comfort me after a long day the way you know how to, and no one knows how to cuddle me to sleep like a baby quite the way you do. That's some deep stuff.
Yes.
So I think is the book you've written.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people get attracted to with drugs. It gives them certain feeling, like maybe drowsiness, and they're able to sleep better and all that. But at the end of the day, there's more harmful effects with smoking than the little benefits.
Okay. Where can people get this book quickly before we?
Okay, the book is actually right now it's only on Amazon.com. So when you go to Amazon and you search for Breaking Up with Mary Jane, you can find it there. But I've also been visiting secondary schools across the country, donating the books to them for free and speaking to them, counseling them to help people coming out of addiction. Because when you look at the book, I have a 30-day guide at the end, and it's not only for marijuana. Even though I talk about marijuana here, it helps with any sort of addiction. So it could be pornography, masturbation, alcohol, any addiction you have. The 30-day guideline here could help you to overcome it.
Thank you. Your final words, Apostle. 20 seconds.
Yes. Just as you asked earlier on, what do we charge or anything? But I just want people to know there are people who can afford it, people who can give.
Who can help.
Yeah, who can help. So
help is available.
Yes. And then we have people who don't have anything. So in the house, it's like 70-30 of free ones. And the people who
it looks like you have your work cut out for you. I mean, this interview could drag on for another couple of hours at the very
yes.
I'm grateful to you for honoring the invitation. Maoli John, thank you for accepting to be here. Maoli Cobi is a rehabilitated drug addict. He's told us about how he went from weed to cocaine to heroin, and how he managed to circle back to get his life back on track, doing the work of the Lord now. John Asogonnde is an author. He has also been rehabilitated from drug addiction, and he's also told us his story. He has a book on Amazon. You can go and find it, help him to support his cause, also to help other children other students in schools to battle addiction. The Apostle Cobi Washington, he is the founder of Chosen Rehab, and they are into rehabilitating persons with addictions, so drug addictions and alcohol addictions. He's asked for support. They do not charge a fee, but they do ask for donations so they can help a lot more people, and we hope that you've been touched to do that. Thank you, gentlemen, for agreeing to share your stories with us. And